I think my role here in the last 34 years has been to build on the foundation established by Rabbi Porath of blessed memory, foundation established by many outstanding lay people, and to add to it in the areas of the three pillars of the Jewish community: Torah, Jewish study, the theory of who we are; Avodah, service to God, putting into practice the theory vis-a-vis God; and Gmilut Chasadim, acts of love toward other people, putting into practice the theory as it relates to other people. For example, when I got here, there was a Chevra Kedisha, a funeral practices committee that was already in place. One of the key people, or among the key people, I don't mean to leave out others, but mention just two: Harry Meiselman and Buddy Sislin. I had come from a congregation where, well, you're the rabbi, you take care of everything with the funeral. And I did. Everything. Came here and said, oh, this is going to be wonderful. There are members of the congregation who take this holy work seriously, and they will take care of contacting the funeral home, providing shomrim and shomrot, men and women who will guard the body before the funeral, groups of men and groups of women to do the ritual washing of the body, the Torah, minyanim at people's homes when they're mourners, etc., etc. I can concentrate on the family's needs and preparing the funeral service and the burial. That was in place when I got here. I think we've done a lot over the last years to strengthen it, involving dozens and dozens of people, including having an annual brunch of the Chevra Kedisha that Mickey helps to organize every single year with an outstanding speaker. But it was there, and I was able to, with the help of lots of other people and the common sense of its importance, help to move this ahead. When we got here, we had a nascent caring committee, chesed committee. And people like Zelda Siegel and her late husband, Julius Siegel of blessed memory, helped to move this forward so that we could, in a very respectful, dignified way, help members of the congregation in times of illness, in times of other needs other than the Chevra Kedisha needs, and be a family for other people. Like Phil, I don't have any family here. My wife, Debbie Rosenman, grew up in Baltimore, or at least some years of her growing up years in Baltimore, but we didn't have relatives. And I'm delighted to say that our daughter-in-law, Karen, when she first came to Or Kodesh in the last year or two, and we said to her, Karen, compared to your family, our family is very small. And she said, I've been at Or Kodesh once. You have a very large family. Your family is all around you in shul, and the people who are part of shul, even if I didn't meet them the first time I was here, I know that it's a very large family. And we have, going back to one other area, we are a very proud conservative synagogue that can say every day of the year we have a morning and an evening minyan. And even last night, Saturday night, at 8 o'clock, a family came here from another congregation. They had yard site, and they said, thank you. We know that you're here at Or Kodesh. That gives me a great deal of pride to say we've made a contribution first to our members, but to the larger community in serving God. And I'll talk about Torah for just 1 minute. The 25th anniversary of my serving the congregation, the president of the congregation was Brian Israel, and he said, one of the things we want to do to honor you is to develop a program which highlights these three areas of Jewish life: service to God, service to human beings, and study of Torah. What can we do? And we talked a little bit, and we developed a program which at that time was called Pledge 25, which at that time meant whatever you're doing for the congregation in your Jewish life, add 25 minutes a week in one of those three areas: Torah, Avodah, or Chesed, and you keep your own scorecard or your own Excel spreadsheet, and it'll just enrich the congregation. Over the next years, that became Pledge 30. Actually, it was 25 hours in the course of the year. Now Pledge 30 became 30 minutes a week of additional contribution on an individual basis to the life of Or Kodesh and to adding to it. And that's been a wonderful addition in the last year. And in fact, we have people who are teaching many, many days of the year, offering their own expertise and their own passion about studying Torah and adding to that.
This is more than a shul, and it's more than a community. This is our family. This, when people are not here for a Shabbat, or if we're not here for a Shabbat, we call them. We say, "Where were you? Is everything okay?" These are our best friends, and we care so much about everybody in this community. When we have smachot to celebrate, or if something is wrong, these are the people that we reach out to. These are our friends. This is our life. These are the people that we love so much. During my term, the things that are important to me are membership. We really want to make sure that we continue to grow our membership and make sure that we continue to make this a strong and vibrant community. Also, we're working on our website, which is really important as we go into the future where everybody's on their phones all the time. We want everybody to really be able to access information in an easy way on their mobile devices. This is really important. Bridging the gap between the ECC and our synagogue. We're working strong on our Israel committee. We're looking forward to welcoming a new shaliach this year, so that will be very exciting for us. Also celebrating the 70th anniversary of our synagogue at our gala, and throughout the coming year will be very exciting for us.
I recall the staff. I think Joe Miller was head of the gym program before he became executive director, and the role that he played. It was a wonderful, loving, caring place. We began when I was younger in the chapel. That was the shul to begin with. And then I think expanded to the Ag Auditorium where my bar mitzvah was in 1957. We didn't have a big party for my bar mitzvah. There was a reception in our home, which is up the street on Fryman Drive. I was always pretty amazed that I knew who Meyer Fryman was. Was he a man or was he a street? But I knew both of them. And we had a reception on Sunday afternoon. Betty Eig was the hostess with my mother. We were before the bar mitzvah. We had a family minyan to daven the mincha service about 1 o'clock, and we counted for a minyan. It was my grandfather in Cleveland, my grandfather in Minneapolis, and my father, and my Uncle Sam, and Uncle Joe, and Uncle Benny, Uncle Benji, Uncle David, Uncle Mike, and the 10th man for the minyan was me. So I associate those days with very, very deep and important experiences. I recall that this shul was a place filled with life and with Jewish experiences. It's hard for me to imagine. I look at us now, those of us that are really old timers. Those early days were 50, 60, almost 70 years ago, and now we're talking about them at a whole different stage of our lives. I remember the old guys in shul. The old guys in shul was Sam Salzberg. He probably, what I recall him as the old guys, who was maybe in his 30s or 40s or 50s. And now we've taken over the place. So I think I learned from our Kodesh about what it was like to be a mensch, what it was like to be part of a community. I recall some of the early people who were very, Arthur Tiemann, who would teach, Fyodor Talheimer, who I always knew as being a Talmid Chacham, as a great student of Torah. I recall, I think his name was Reverend Dobry. He used to read Torah. He was staying with his children on Fryman Drive, and he was an old timer who came and read Torah for us. I of course recall when Roger Rowdy's father, when Al was the president of the shul. Some of my father's best anecdotes come from the shul. A story that he told that I told all the time. He said that once in, I think it was in MCJ, that after services, a woman comes to the rabbi and says, "Rabbi, I loved your sermon. I hope that you will publish it." And the rabbi responded, "Well, perhaps posthumously." And she said, "Well, make it soon, make it soon." Those did deprecating jokes, or when my father would begin a sermon, there was a member of the congregation my father would tell would take a nap. My father would say to him, "Tell me, why whenever I begin a sermon do you take a nap?" And the answer was, "Rabbi, I trust you." So I've used those MCJC stories all over the world, and people laugh with me at the camaraderie of being together at MCJC. I think the greatest influence on me was USY, without question. That really changed my life. I recall the MCJC Spring Keenus, which was in March of 1959. The new building had just been finished, and I met a young man from Arlington named Danny Siegel, who came and visited. Some of us recall him, and we've been lifelong friends for the past 60 years. Plus, I think what the shul had, I'm now looking back and realizing, there was a cadre of young people who were leaders. David Gottlieb, of blessed memory, Michael Salzberg. I mean, there also were professional leaders, but the youth themselves, I recall a wonderful chevra of high school girls from Rollingwood, Julie and Phyllis and Linda, who were all cousins, and some are with us and some aren't. And you were part of a community. There was a youth community. Perhaps one of the fondest memories, which may sound strange to the adults, but not now, when my father would announce on Yom Kippur, he would, said it was time for Yizkor. Now, those were the old days when we didn't have Yizkor books, when the rabbi would read the names of all of the memorials in shul. It would take him like 25 minutes to read everybody's name. But I recall when my father would say Yizkor, what the kids would say was, "Yay!" It was a vacation for us. We were allowed to go outside. And I recall gathering in front of the shul in Yom Kippur afternoon with all of our friends from USY and got together and greeted each other. Those were wonderful kinds of days. And my guess is that for those of us who continue on in Jewish life, MCJC and Or Kodesh were always the models of what a warm and hospitable and traditional Jewish community could be like. And I think we've tried to emulate that in our own lives as well.